This is episode 110 of Noodle Time. Welcome back. This episode is going to be a little bit different. It's just going to be me. We do have the crew in a pretty busy weekend, and of course that has a lot to do with sports going on, life going on, and the one thing that's been pretty much taking over since the start of the week is, of course, NFL starting out, college football still on their way, and of course international week for a lot of national teams, especially Venezuela. That loss against Bolivia, man, that was really unfortunate. But they have the highest stadium in the world. Still kind of sad about it. Sad opportunity to waste for 3 points, but yeah, we do have the game against Uruguay this upcoming week, so it's gonna be insane. But just back on things, this format's gonna be a little bit different. It's just me, and I'm just gonna go through some of the thoughts that I've come through over the past 3 games this past week. And all 3 teams played, as I mentioned, so it might be a little bit 30-ish minutes, maybe 20 minutes, hopefully. But it's the first time I'm doing this one, so I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done this format in a while, so but I have a lot to talk about though, because it's particularly Dynamo, particularly Dash, and those, because they haven't won their games, unfortunately. So a few things to go through. And the first one I'm going to go through is going to be Dynamo. Houston Dynamo tying LAFC 0-0. That game was just really frustrating to see, because once again we have all the shots shooting the opponent on target as well, and we still can't come up with a goal now. So we still are creating those opportunities. Of course, we are looking out for the perfect pass, the perfect sequence, and the perfect moment to score already, but unfortunately, we still can't put in the frame at times, or we just send it straight to the keeper, or it's just lack of luck, honestly. So it's unfortunate. Wasted opportunity for 3 points here, but the most important thing for me, at least the silver lining, if you call it that, is the clean sheet against a top team like LAFC. They are still one of the best teams in the Western Conference, in my opinion. And even though they didn't have some other players, some starters because of the international break, we still have to face the likes of Olivier Giroud, Kai Kamara, former Dynamo, like 14 years ago, and a pretty strong squad. And there's a reason why they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. So it's great that the Houston didn't lose this game, but of course they have been pretty disappointing at home this year. Most of the wins have been coming up on the road, which is really unheard of. And we did talk a little bit about that in the previous episode, since we did beat LAFC back at their stadium. And the one thing I want to bring up with this game is the fact that obviously the elephant in the room here is that if it's not broken, don't fix it. And it was just pretty much the same lineup. But the difference between the game last week and this week is, of course, the lack of goals. Even though we saw the same amount of production, almost, of course, without Lawrence Anali, because he got injured after that game, after the first game. Just a lot of question marks still about who's going to be scoring all the goals and all that. A lot of fans on Twitter have been asking for for the next window to come up with or sign a number 10, a true number 10 as a designated player, because that's probably one of the only pieces we've been missing for this team. We got all the pieces, we got all the players that we need to start getting those wins. And I've said it over and over again, this is a team that's gonna get us there. We have all the talent. We're just missing that final touch for some reason. So they're still producing those opportunities, but for some reason, for results like this, it's just annoying that we didn't get the 3 points. So this week in particular was a big one, because it's the first game of the homestand, and we are now facing RSL next week. And the week after that, we do have 2 games, one at home, which is going to be against Vancouver, also one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and of course closing out the weekend against South Tennessee in Austin. And I'll be there in that game 100%. But yeah, wasted opportunity for 3 points, like I said, but it's we're gonna have to start clicking here, start figuring out who's gonna be doing what. If the same approach is still gonna be the same. The one thing I wanted to complain about this game in particular is the substitutions, because I was very interested about the substitutions made by Dynamo, because we've only made 2 substitutions in the entire game, and those came in at the 68th minute. Of course, Ali replacing Brad Smith and Seba Kowalczyk coming out for Coco. And I was very. It was for me. It was just very odd because we still had some of the offensive players. Granted, we're still missing the ones that we really need for injuries. Of course, wingers that can definitely open the game up for us. But we still have Latif Blessing on bench. Mackenzie Gaines, you can definitely give it a shot there as well. Sebastian Ferreira, I thought he was going to be coming in for Ponce to close the game, but that didn't happen. And yeah, I could definitely understand why Brad Smith and Coco came in just to try and open up the game a little bit more, which for me did happen, but just didn't get those goals in, unfortunately. So, outshooting the opponent, 12 shots, 12 total shots, and only 3 on target. It did feel like a lot more, honestly, but obviously, if you watch the replay, if you watch the game live, a lot of those shots just went off target. One of the things that Houston still have to sort out at some point. And yeah, the one thing I wanted to say is, of course, we still have that curse. I don't know if you guys noticed, but every single time there's pretty good attendance or close to sellout at Challenger Stadium, we still manage to lose an opportunity to get those 3 points. And honestly, a lot of people were there because the teams were doing good, and of course because some of the players that came over LAFC, particularly Hugo Lloris and Olivier Giroud, obviously the big name players. A lot of fans are going to be looking out for those. And it was a pretty good environment, pretty good crowd, and for the game itself. But it was unfortunate that we weren't able to convert towards the end. And of course, in the end of the first half, it kind of looked like LAFC was going to take the lead here, but and it just came out to be an offside call, thankfully, since I think it was Giroud that was offside there during the pass, but during the goal. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that we get the win here, but we're gonna have to move on here. We're gonna have to definitely regroup. I'm sure we're gonna see the same lineup probably with like a different player to start the game against RSL, and we're just gonna have to find the goals, man. Like, we are missing a lot of opportunities to climb the standings. We're still in a good position for the playoffs still, but we gotta convert those results to wins now, because we can't keep losing ground, especially for the teams above us in the standings, and just gotta get those points, because I'm tired. I don't want to get worried about playoffs anymore. So yeah, go Dynamo, and it's gonna be like a tough game against RSL, but be there. It's gonna be a pretty good game. RSL, we've been playing them a million times, and it's still gonna be a very good game, very competitive. RSL is still top level, so gotta watch out for them. And yeah, that's probably my best enjoyment of the weekend so far, because we now have to talk about the Dash. Houston Dash visiting Gotham FC and losing 2-1. This game, I'm not as angry as I should be, because the Houston played very well up until like after the equalizer and a little bit before conceding the second goal towards the end of the game. And Houston just stood up very well. Diana Ordonez scored her 5th goal of the year, right 7 minutes after Gotham scored the first goal in the first half. And unfortunately, Houston conceded at the 93rd minute, right when they've been doing well defensively and started to build out properly. And a lot of those expectations for me, especially for this year, are pretty much out the window, as you could probably tell from the last episode that we talked about the Dash, because Houston, they haven't gotten a single point in the last 8 games, going back to late May of this year. And it's pretty much, playoffs are mathematically not out of reach yet, but we pretty much have to win out all of our games and hope all the results go our way. So, really unfortunate. The one thing I wanted to say about this game is the fact that we have been shooting more, or at least attempt or like opening up towards those attacking opportunities more. because one of the things that the Dash have been lacking this year is just pretty much all the goals, and kind of I want to say the same situation as Dynamo because I guess the Dash haven't been really building up well a lot, and most of the pieces that have been, or most of the players that they've been relying on for a little bit have been either unavailable for some reason, or those absences or maternity leave, of course. And they're starting to come back, particularly because I was looking forward for Ramona Bachmann and Ryan Garys to make their returns. But unfortunately, they were available off the bench, but unfortunately, they did not play. Um, of course, there were some of the adjustments made. The ones that I really liked, or at least I was hoping for Yuki to play more, but I could understand why you wanted to like open up the game a little bit more. Bill Reed did play very well coming off the bench. Ellen Rubinson was subbed in the second half, right at the start of the second half, and overall, I feel like Houston did pretty well here. It's just unfortunate that they didn't come out with at least a draw, because I was convinced they were going to probably get the late result here, but unfortunately, Gotham was able to find a back clearance that Joseph Harris made. Joseph was trying to clear the ball outside the box, but unfortunately, Gotham was able to recover pretty quickly. So it's that. I would say the fact that Jane Campbell only got one save says that a lot about the defense this game, because defensively, like I said before, Houston did pretty good defensively in this game. Tarciane leaving her just leaving it all out again, and she's been having a pretty good time here in Houston. Unfortunate situation that the team is having still, because, like I said before, they haven't been getting a lot of points in a while, or any points really, and they're still sitting in last place in the entire league. So we did put all of our grievances in the last episode, mostly because we still don't know where Fran Alonso is. A lot of our players are still missing. CC Kaiser left the team, and of course, this past week we've been getting a news of a lot of the players that are still playing with the team are pretty much out of free agency for this upcoming off season. So it's great. We did talk. OSG and I did talk about that in the last episode, particularly the players that have to stay or leave, and we still got a good baseline to build out of. But like we said, we need to know. We like to know what the plan is, if there is any. Of course, we still have Piñones Arce as the technical director that has all the hands going on, and we still have no GM announced official, at least at an official capacity. Like, we know that there might be a GM consultant or someone close to that role that is assisting in that process, or assisting in trying to get those players back. Eric Ustrup, former Dynamo player that used to work for Orlando Pride, and it's still up in the air. Like, there's a team that has been lacking direction for a while now, and I think it's time for the front office to step up here, because it's already been a while since Ted Siegel took over, and Jessica O'Neill was promoted to pretty much oversee operations for both sides, the Dynamo and the Dash. And it definitely sucks that the Dash are still in this situation. And of course, we made playoffs just recently, but we haven't been able to stay consistent at all. And it's just unfortunate, because we have a lot of talented players on this roster, and just coming out really with some amazing performances, game in and out. Granted, not in consecutive games, but there still are players that still representing Houston, and it just sucks that we have to either wait for the season to end or hope that the Dash win out all the games here. And it's just, I don't see it happening really. What at this stage of the season, so we're unfortunate. We do have a few things to go through, because I'm trying to get all the information here, but yeah, I was just particularly disappointed with how the season's turning out for the Dash, and really still upset at the fact that we still don't know where Fran Alonso is, or have any sort of communication as to what's going on. Because Ricky Clark, of course, he has been doing at least a good job, in my opinion, a good job just based on the games that I've been seeing so far. this is not his squad. Just to remember that this is not his team. This is the team he has to be taking over for Fernando Alonso, and it's been going like that for over the past 2 months. And you could say it's been like half the season. This is going to be Ricky Clark taking care of Fernando Alonso's role here, and it's just disappointing that, at least on Fernando Alonso's side, that he hasn't been able to appear for some reason. And we might know what the reason is, but I don't think it's going to be coming out anytime soon until it's resolved or whatever that is. And shout out to Ricky Clark, because he's been taking care of this team. He's been facing the media at least and saying, I'm just bringing support to the players because at this moment in time it's what they need the most. So I do appreciate that out of Ricky Clark, and for whatever is left in the season, since I believe they do have 7 games left in the schedule, in the regular season schedule, and they do have the away trip to Washington Spirit, and that's going to be on Sunday, September 15 at noon. I think that game is going to be on national TV again, and I just want to double check, but yeah, it's just disappointing with how the season's turning out for them. And yes, so this game is actually going to be on ESPN, on ESPN2, on ESPN Plus, and ESPN Deportes. So it's going to be national TV, kind of like what we saw this Sunday. As of me recording this video, we are in a pretty bad spot. It's considering that Washington Spirit, they're in pretty good shape as well, and Houston is going to be back on the road to at least get a result here. So go Dash, and we'll see how that goes, because they're pretty much out in the open when it comes to road form, and we kind of saw that tonight or today. So we'll see how that goes. But go Dash, we love you. We always support you no matter what. But come on, let's get that result. And last but not least, we do have to talk about Dynamo 2, or Dynamo 2, the official name for that. And they drew Ventura County 2-2 in regulation and lost the penalty shootouts. And I was particularly upset about this game because Dynamo 2 were winning to the nothing at halftime, and they dropped the ball. And for me, I was particularly happy because they've been in pretty good form as of late, and I saw them winning this game, and to lock things up, particularly with how they started the first half and how they just bowled out for the rest of the first half and a good chunk of the second half. And they just let the opportunity slip away. And for me, the one things we have to consider also for this game is that we do have a bunch of players missing for international duty. And the one thing, of course, one of the main highlights for the players missing is Gabe Segal. He's been out this week also for the first team because he did have a concussion during training this past week. And as for the players that have been absent as well, Xavier Valdez, Andy Batioja, and Sebastian Rodriguez are not available because of international duty. So we might not see them again up until next week. And yeah, this game in particular, and if you saw it, it was the Diego Gonzalez show again. It was a brace for Diego Gonzalez, and probably more goals. And if you could say that Steven Anor didn't hit the post several times in this game, because it was just insane how the first half turned out for those. And Steven Anor could have definitely had a bunch of goals in this game, but unfortunately it didn't come out that way. And yeah, they just broke down in the second half for some reason. It definitely felt like early in the year where they was just dropping results like crazy, and disappointing to see. Also because those did also miss some of the penalty kicks in the shootout to concede the second point, and those now have to deal with a point here. So the thing about those, or at least when it comes to MLS Next Pro, is just the fact that it's just insane how the form works, or at least how each team performs over the course of the year. And if you've been keeping an eye on those this year, you definitely know that they lost the first 5 games of the season, and they were building up their way back this whole time. And thankfully, they did that, and thankfully, they've been able to at least get back in the playoff picture because they are still in it despite the draw here, and they are unbeaten in the last 3 games. So 7 points in the last 3 games, and the next game is gonna be this Friday at Austin FC2, and I'm gonna be there. OSG is gonna be there. It's gonna be insane. We haven't missed a trip by those yet, and we don't plan to at all. So it's always a good time to just visit those whenever they're in town. So if you're able to make the trip to Austin, I highly recommend it. It's great. Tickets are not free, I believe, so you're gonna have to purchase those through Austin FC2's website. And if if you're there, give us a hi, give us a holler. You can probably sit next to us too, but well, it's always a great experience. So I look forward to that. And Austin FC2 is coming out of 2 losses in a row, and they are in 11th place. And as of me recording this right now, is down those are in 8th place. So we're still in the playoff picture. 8th place is going to be, I believe, it's the last spot for the playoffs in the Western Conference, and it's going to be crazy. Also, one of the things I wanted to bring up is the fact that Kenny Bundy is not with the, at least not the head coach for Dynamo 2 as of now, only because he took the vacant assistant coach position for the first team this week. And I was gonna get some of the info here, but I was very happy with the fact that Kenny Bundy was able to get another, or at least just be given another opportunity for him to prove himself with the first team. Granted, it's not gonna be the head coaching position anytime soon, but like he did last time. But I'm definitely glad that he's been able to just be involved with the club altogether. Like he's been developing all of our players back in the academy. He's been in charge of those for the past 3 years, and of course he had to take over the team for a little bit as an interim head coach. And I think he's been doing great so far. So we love Kenny Bundy. I definitely think he's one of our most important figures when it comes to coaching in the club altogether. And the coach that is actually going to be taking over for those starting with this game is Jeremy Hurdle, and he is the former head coach for the under 15s for Dynamo Academy. So as long as we bring in coaches that are within the system, it's great because they have a fair understanding on where we or how we want the players to play and how we want the players to be structured during the games, and it's great. Unfortunately, that this game ended up with a late draw, going to Ventura County's way because they did get the 2 points in the end. But I'm definitely okay with the fact that they've been beaten already. They've only lost 2 games in the last month or so, I believe, and they've been in pretty good shape. So if they can still make it to playoffs, third time in a row, amazing. And but they still got ways to go, and they gotta win those games to climb the standings and safely make it there. But the standings are a little bit crowded, or at least some of the teams that are over Houston have a lot of points, and the next team over the those, which is Vancouver Whitecaps 2, they do have 36 points, so 3 points more than us. And the Town FC, they do have 39 points, so we're gonna have to deal with. But assuming that we win out some of the games here and left in our schedule, we have to assume that we can climb as high as 7th next week, and depending on how things go along the way, we might just get to 6th or 5th place. But of course, we gotta win those games. I hope all the results go our way, but yeah, we just gotta worry about winning games on our end, so that way we don't have to worry about other teams and all that. And yeah, go those. Austin, they're coming into Austin, and we're excited, of course, 2 weeks from now, the first team is going to come to Austin to play Austin FC. And I'm looking forward to that one. OSG is also looking forward to that one. And I highly recommend making the trip here if you can find tickets. I think for the supporters section, they're no longer selling those. And you're going to have to find tickets on your own and stay close to us. I think 216 might be the section where they're going to be sitting. Don't quote me on that. But you can probably stay closer to us if you can look up some information online. So, highly recommend. But for the Austin FC2 game, like I said before, you can pretty much just sit anywhere that and in the grandstand, and we're probably just gonna be in one of the corners here, right behind the Dynamo 2 bench. So, highly recommend making that experience if you can make it. So, I think it's great. But as always, guys, we do appreciate the support. And if you haven't been keeping up with the blog recently, we have been posting a lot of articles written by Juan Pereira, and pretty much all the content that we make is posted there as well. Ko-fi.com/dynamicfoxtrot. That's ko-fi.com/dynamicfoxtrot, like our Twitter handle at dynamicfoxtrot, and also on Instagram. Noodle Tiempo on Twitter. We do post updates there as well. So follow that page as well if you haven't already. And the one thing I wanted to say, y'all, is we do, and I'm gonna keep saying that, we do appreciate the support and feedback. Every time we see you at the stadium, every time you give us compliments, and just every time we interact online by any means, like it really means a lot to us. So we do appreciate that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and stay noodle, y'all.